Tree trunk legs destroy your aesthetics in V-taper. Old school bodybuilders from the silver and golden era knew that, combined with the lack of hypertrophy optimized machines and emphasis on free weight compound movements, which are overall worse for developing total leg size, resulting in less impressive legs compared to today's standards. But does having tree trunk legs even matter for an aesthetic physique? Which one of these bodybuilders looks more aesthetic to you? The one with tree trunk legs, resulting in an X-frame, or the smaller but defined legs that emphasize the V-taper? Aesthetics are subjective, but 99% of people would say that the guy with the smaller but still developed legs looks more aesthetic. Bodybuilding is an art form about sculpting one's own body with the right proportions and symmetry to create the most aesthetic physique possible. Just like a sculptor sculpts his marble, so does the bodybuilder sculpt his body. Bodybuilding isn't about maximum muscle from top to bottom. And just so you know that I'm not coping, here are my legs. What are your personal physique goals? Do you really want tree trunk legs? Or is that something that gym culture is projecting onto you? Maybe you want a chest that is so big that you can put the fucking water bottle on it. Maybe a demon bag, Death Star delts, cannonball arms, and some jacked legs that don't overpower but complement the upper body aesthetics. Which muscle groups, proportions, and aesthetic makes you want to fucking go into the gym and kill every single PR that stands in your way between you and your future goal physique? If legs are not on top of your list, why the fuck are you bothering and doing leg days 2 times a week, absolutely killing yourself and limiting your upper body potential? That brings me to the next point. You've heard it several times that lower body training boosts your testosterone and helps you grow your upper body. That is complete nonsense. I don't know which fragile masculinity and testosterone obsessed self-improvement guru you've been following, but leg training doesn't help your upper body gains, but it actually limits your potential. That is literally the whole fucking reason why I'm recording this video in the first place. The only reason why leg days may initially boost your upper body gains is not because of some magic testosterone boost you get from it, but maybe, just maybe, you've been training like an absolute fucking sissy beforehand, and the lower days, which are in nature very, very fucking hard, have been a good guidance and teacher to you, and a realization that you did train like pussy, and the intensity that you had to bring up for you to train lower body just translated into your upper body sessions, which means that you went closer to failure on your upper body days, which means that you stimulate more muscle fibers, which you didn't do before, which at the end of the day resulted in more gains. Now that we got that out of the way, why the fuck does leg training limit your upper body potential? First, leg days worsen recovery across the week. This is by far the biggest factor why lower body training takes away from your upper body gains. If you have been really focusing on growing your legs, and you've put that intensity into your leg workouts, which you need, you may have noticed that leg days are fucking grueling. The massive amounts of fatigue that gets generated from a lower body day bleeds into every single other workout that you have within that week, taking away from your body's overall recovery pool, which means that if you have a upper body focus day on Monday and then on Tuesday, but you have a leg day somewhere in between, it may be that your recovery between those upper body days is worsened, which means that your ability to progress from session to session gets worse. And at the end of the day, progression and getting stronger over time is the single most important factor for muscle growth. Set the stimulus, recover in time, adapt and get stronger, rinse and repeat. If you are interrupting that process because your recovery gets worsened by grueling leg days 2 times per week, your upper body gains will be limited. Here's the nerdy explanation. The CNS fatigue generated from a hard leg day will worsen your ability to recruit the high threshold motor units of a given muscle, even if it's a different one. Essentially, your brain's ability to shoot electrical signals to your muscles to produce force gets worsened if your leg days are shooting your brain to the moon. The second reason, leg days take training days away that could have been used to grow your upper body. This is an even bigger factor if you don't have lots of time available. Let's say you only have time to work out 4 times per week. Person A trains an upper-lower split, resulting in a 2 times per week frequency for the upper and lower, which is optimal on paper, but there's one catch. You cannot cramp your whole fucking upper body into just 2 sessions, as there are so many muscle groups in the upper body compared to the lower body, which you just cannot put as much time and attention and love to than if you would split up your upper body training into several sessions. Person B trains in push-pull legs, upper body, hybrid split. In this scenario, you would split your upper body training up into 2 different sessions, a push and a pull session, where you're mostly focusing on the chest, shoulders and triceps, and on the pull day, on the back and biceps, compared to the upper body day, where you have lots of shit cramped up. Who do you think will build more upper body mass in the long run? I think it is self-explanatory. Person B, who spends more time in the upper body, will build more mass in the upper body. The only downside is that you are training legs only 1 time per week, which is not a big deal. You will still grow and build muscle with just 1 training session per week, which I will go more in depth in a minute. Of course, this was just an example. Maybe you can train 5 times per week, or maybe even less, only 3 times per week. The same principle still applies. The third reason is more leg training days within a week means less rest days. The day you're using to build 3 chunk legs, which you maybe don't even want because you like that classic old school silver and golden era physique, emphasizing the V-taper instead of an X-frame, could have been used to take a complete day off to rest and recover, which, as I mentioned, will boost your upper body performance and recovery too. I know you're feeling you're scared to back off on your leg training because you will end up with chicken legs, which I will reassure you, you won't. You can still build muscle with less than you think. Online fitness coach and content creator Paul Carter and his friend Chris have been dissecting several studies regarding optimal volume, recoverability, and effective reps, and they came to the conclusion that everything over just 3 sets per week, which is maintenance volume, will still build muscle, as intensity and mechanical tension that is created by that intensity is the main driver of hypertrophy and not volume. That means that as little as just 4 sets per muscle group per week, just 1 set above the recommended maintenance volume guidelines, with an intensity of 0 to 2 reps in reserve, will still build muscle. And according to Paul Carter, 4 sets may even be superior to the recommended 8 to 12 sets per week, due to the increased recovery and performance boost from session to session. Now that we know that volume as low as 4 sets per muscle group per week is a viable option to still build muscle with low effort and time spent, we now know why many natty bodybuilders can still progress and grow their legs with just 1 session per week. This is just the nature and the low requirements that leg training has compared to the upper body. The legs, primarily the quads and hamstrings, just have a few functions and a few core exercises you have to cover. On top of that, every compound exercise that hits the quads and hamstrings hard will have overlapping volume for the adductors, glutes, etc. When training legs, you can also load and move much more weight than for the upper body, which will cause for an even greater stimulus on a set per set basis. Not every set is created equal. The upper body, on the other hand, is much more complicated and intricate due to the amount of muscles and joint angles you have to hit. A minimalistic approach for your lower body is the default. There's only so much you can do. But treating your upper body with the same kind of minimalistic mindset will absolutely leave your physique with lots of muscular and anesthetic gaps to fill. There are 4 questions I would advise you to ask yourself before deciding to skip your leg days. Are you genuinely happy with how your legs look? Do you care more about your upper body aesthetics? Are you an intermediate lifter who has paid his dues with hard leg training? Does training legs 2 times per week, like your life depends on it, align with your personal goals? Go over these questions in detail in your head to decide what might be the best next move. Keep in mind that your answers, your subjective view on what is aesthetic, and your personal goals will change over time, so be open-minded. I will now give you some guidance on how to structure your leg workouts to get the best stimulus in the least amount of time and effort spent. So here's my low volume leg protocol. When it comes to volume and frequency, I would advise you to just do 1 leg day per week, so you have more time and recoverability for your upper body focused sessions. 4 to 6 sets with 0 to 2 reps in reserve for the quads and hamstrings is enough to still progress slowly but surely. At worst, you will maintain your leg size. When picking exercises, I would advise you to choose the exercise that gives you the best stimulus for that target muscle. For example, instead of a free weight barbell squat, where the stimulus is all over the fucking place, instead of a targeted area, do a hack squat or a sissy leg press to really hammer the quads. A simple program template you can follow would be the following: a hinge, a squat, a pure knee extension, and a hamstring curl. All of those exercises for 2 to 3 sets. If you find that your quads and hamstrings can't slowly but surely grow with just 4 sets per week, make sure to bump up the volume into maybe 5 or 6 sets by adding another exercise for just 1 to 2 sets, or just adding a 3rd set for an already existing exercise. If you want to know what the best bang for your buck quad exercises are so you can get the most out of your low volume, low frequency leg training approach, but still get the best stimulus possible, make sure to watch this video right here.